All right, guys, I'm going to get right to the point on how to start keto. I've had a lot of questions on how you begin burning ketones, how do you start the keto diet. Basically, it's the 5-20-70 rule. You want to eat 5% carbohydrates, 20% proteins, 70% fats. And what do I mean by that? Well, you're not just eating a bunch of fat. What you're doing is you're having good fats like avocado. You're going to be having olives, macadamia nuts, grass-fed, grass-finished beef. Make sure it's grass-finished. MCT oil, olive oil, eggs, bacon, coconut oil, you name it. It's the good fats that you want to be consuming. As far as proteins go, you want to, if you're used to 3 meals a day and you don't want to start intermittent fasting yet, which we're going to talk about in a second, then you eat your 3 meals a day, but you only have 3 to 6 ounces of protein per meal. You know, you want to load up on veggies, the good kind of veggies. You want to have a little bit of maybe some avocado sliced with that, and then you want to have some sort of chicken or beef or pork. Something that if you're going to have lean beef, if you're going to have chicken or pork, if you're going to have something that's lean, you're going to want to add fats to that. So throw the butter, the cheese, and you can have dairy on this. I don't have a ton of dairy, but I do eat cheese, and I do eat some dairy with this diet because you can. And I've been telling you, eggs are one of the best foods you can have, and they're a great source of protein and good, healthy fats, omega-3s, a lot of good things in them. Your carbohydrates, basically, you're just going to want to go with great cruciferous vegetables like asparagus, bok choy. Get your broccoli in there. Get a ton of salad greens. Don't eat corn. Don't eat peas. Don't eat carrots. Don't eat potatoes. They're all starchy vegetables, and they're just going to raise your insulin level, kick you out of ketosis. So what is keto? Basically, if you're trying to start this keto diet, you're wondering where to go and what exactly ketosis is. Well, the ketogenic diet is you go from burning glucose, which most of us have done our whole life, from eating carbohydrates and refined sugars and packaged foods, to burning ketones. The prime ketone body is acetoacetate. That's the prime one that's made in your liver. Acetoacetate produces beta-hydroxybutyrate and acetone. Acetone isn't really used as sort of a byproduct of ketones. Beta-hydroxybutyrate, that's the important one. That's the one that's going to fuel our cells, gives us energy. So your body's going from burning that sugar to burning fat. Now your body's running on fat, ketones, fatty acids. So when you're in ketosis, there's a few things that are going to happen. When you first start, you're going to go sometimes what's called the keto flu. A lot of people experience this because they've lived their whole life eating the carbohydrates. And when you switch to burning ketones and you're making that switch over in like a 1, 2, 3, 4 day period, whatever it takes for you, everybody's different. The lowering insulin levels and stuff from eating less carbs are going to sometimes make you feel sluggish, sometimes give you a headache. Your legs might cramp a little bit. You feel lethargic sometimes, sort of like almost like a flu symptom. This is completely 100% normal. Most of people are going to go through it a little bit. The way to help with that is to eat more is to consume more minerals. You see, the reason that you're feeling this is because when you do ketosis, you're drinking a lot of water, and your body is starting to flush out all of the water that's held in your muscles, in the glycogen. So what that's doing is it's taking all of that carbohydrate and minerals in your muscles, and it's flushing it out. Well, along with that water are the minerals, potassium, magnesium, sodium. So what you're going to want to do is really kind of, when you start the ketogenic diet, you're going to want to stock up on pink Himalayan salt, potassium in the form of cream of tartar. If you ever seen the little spice in the spice rack, cream of tartar, it's a byproduct of winemaking, but it actually has about 100 more times potassium in it than a banana. So you just need, a half a teaspoon of that, and it's like eating 12 bananas, which you can't have if you're eating on the ketogenic diet. You can't have that kind of thing because potassiums are extremely high on the glycemic index, was about 100, and they turn directly into sugar in your bloodstream. Magnesium as well. I just take a magnesium supplement. These things you're actually going to get. I don't take a whole lot of these supplements. I mean, I do put them in there sometimes, depending on if I'm fasting or not. You're going to get all the minerals you need if you're eating those green vegetables. They're loaded with all of these, especially avocado, Avocado is actually a fruit, but it does have a lot of the minerals in it. Asparagus, I mean, it's just amazing. All these cruciferous vegetables are loaded with minerals. Another thing to stock up on when you're doing the ketogenic diet, to buy right away, is the MCT oil. MCT oil is a medium chain triglyceride, and it's a byproduct. It comes from coconut and coconut oil. Okay, that basically is a great source of fat, and it's extremely good for energy. In the morning, if you want something that isn't going to go to your liver and have to work your liver out, MCT oil bypasses the liver and goes right to your bloodstream and is burned as fuel. It also helps boost your ketones, especially in the morning, because you've been fasting anyway overnight. You're going to raise those ketone levels even faster and start burning more fat. Stop eating 5 to 6 times a day. We've been told this. I used to do low-fat diets, and they used to say, oh, graze, eat, go every 2 hours eating and do 6 small meals. That's horrible advice. There's so much research out there, and don't take my word for it, do your own research. Okay, there is so much evidence out there. Unless you're training and you're an athlete that's going from some huge event, you don't want to eat 5 times, 6 times a day. It's horrible for you. It raises your insulin. It never gives your digestive tract a slowdown in your stomach and everything in there a little break. So really what we need to do is the opposite. That's where intermittent fasting comes in. When I started keto, I started doing ketosis about 10 years ago. And I didn't really even know I was doing it. I was doing a low-carb diet. And the author mentioned, there was one little tiny chapter back then. Maybe it was even like 15 years ago. It was one little chapter on ketosis, about being in ketosis. And they didn't know a ton of it about it back then. So it was sort of like a byproduct of what I was doing. Lost weight, started eating carbs again, gained it back. It's the same story that everybody goes through. Okay, then 3 years ago, I actually did the keto diet, and I lost about 70-something pounds. And then I went on the road, and I started doing music and stuff again, and I sort of like forgot about that whole lifestyle of eating ketogenic. It's sort of like, I bypassed it. What had happened? You start eating carbs slowly. You start, throwing them in 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and then you forget all about your ketosis lifestyle. Back comes the weight. So a couple months ago, I started, and I really did some research this time. Months before I even started it, I did a bunch of research, and intermittent fasting kept coming up along with the ketogenic diet. So I said, there's got to be something to this. So I started diving into intermittent fasting along with the keto diet. I started finding out some unbelievable things, and you guys should do your research on intermittent fasting. A lot of people think if they fast for 16 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, 4 days, 3 days, they think that they're going to lose muscle. And that isn't the case. In fact, the opposite happens. If you guys think back to, you can't really remember when our ancestors, but if you read about our ancestors and you read about hundreds of thousands of years ago when humans were hunter-gatherers, okay, if they started losing muscle mass after 3 days of not eating, the human race would have died out. You got to think about it. These guys would hunt an animal, they would kill it, they would all sit around and they would eat every part of it, especially the fat, and they were always in ketosis. They didn't have Snicker bars back then. So they were always in ketosis. That's how their bodies ran, as fuel. So then they would go 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, or a couple days without eating anything. So that energy would start, their body knows that, okay, we ate 6 days ago, I'm going to give you energy now to go hunt so you can kill something else so that we can eat again. Okay, that's the same way that we're built the same way. It's just that now we have food in front of us all the time. So you got to think of intermittent fasting as actually you're going to end up getting more energy. And a few things happen when you fast. After 12 to 16 hours or so, you're always in ketosis. Your body's always utilizing ketones when you fast. So overnight, most of us are burning ketones. We don't even know it. Okay? After 16 to 24 hours of fasting, you start creating more human growth. It's HGH, human growth hormone. And that's really important. Human growth hormone is prevalent when you're young, and as we get older, we lose the ability to make as much. But when you start fasting, that ability comes back. After 20, 24 hours, 28 hours of fasting, your HGH for a male goes up 2,000%. For a female, it goes up 1,300%. So it's pretty amazing that human growth hormone does that, and it's really the way to vitalize your whole cellular structure in your body. It's almost like rebuilding your cells. After 20, 24 hour, 48 hours, 72, you get into autophagy. Now later on I'm going to do videos on these subjects and do a whole video on them, but I'm just kind of getting through this so you know about the very basics of starting the ketogenic diet. So autophagy, without getting into it because it's a huge science thing and I'm still learning about it, basically it means self-eating. It's a Latin term for self-eating, eating oneself. Your cells are eating all the bad proteins and all the bad things, particles in the cell, and they regenerate. Okay, so autophagy is absolutely amazing for the human body, and that starts. Like, think of it as like the garbage truck coming by and getting all the garbage, and you're left with a clean, slate. There's nothing there. Okay, it regenerates your cells. Okay, guys, that's about it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them. Remember the basics though: 5, 20, 70. 70% good fats, 20% proteins. Do your moderate protein, 5% carbs. Your carbs are going to be around 20 to 30 net grams. If you have a slow metabolism like me, you want to stick with about 20 grams. If you're going to have a snack, have a few macadamia nuts. Read about macadamia nuts. They're unbelievable. Until then, please subscribe below. Hit that bell icon so you know I'll have a new video, and we'll see you soon.